Most people don't fear death. They fear the idea that there might be nothing. And that says a lot more about the mind than it does about reality. I want to start by talking about non-existence. People fear nothing after death, that they may no longer exist after death. What I want to bring people's attention to is the moment. In this moment, are you experiencing non-existence? See, the mind likes to create stories. It likes to imagine scenarios that it's not comfortable with. It likes to imagine scenarios that it hasn't experienced and create all types of stories and fear around those scenarios. And this particular fear is an imagined absence. It's imagining that the possibility of nothing could be real, that is the truth. And this is because the mind just can't conceive of its own disappearance. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want to know that could be a possibility. And because it's not experiencing a future event, it's trying to protect that future event and creating a story. And it's doing that because it's a natural reaction of the mind. It's a reaction of panic. What I want to point out is that this is a completely normal thing for the mind to do. For there to be a scenario where the mind doesn't exist, it's completely normal for the mind to then create fear and imagination and stories around non-existence. Because the mind can imagine pain, loss, darkness, but it can't imagine not being. It can't imagine not existing. I want to be very clear about why this happens, based on my experience, based on what I know to be true. The mind panics simply because it depends on continuity of identity. The mind survives as long as identity survives, because that's what the mind is. It's a box of accumulations, labels, and stories. It's the self that it's created for itself. And the thought of losing that self is terrifying. And what doesn't help this is memory. The mind has a built-up story based on memory to reinforce the identity. And that memory creates the illusion of permanence. The illusion that that identity is permanent. That identity is. And the fear of losing that identity, of that identity not ever existing, that feels like erasure. That doesn't feel like peace. That feels like the ultimate terror. But fear doesn't arise because non-existence is terrible. It arises because the mind can't locate itself there. in a place or an experience called non-existence, where nothing exists, where can the mind be located? Where can the identity be found? And these are the questions the mind can't answer, which is why there is always a fear and a panic when we speak about non-existence and death. This same fear can arise after an awakening. And it's because an awakening destabilizes identity. This identity I've been speaking about, that's created by the mind, loosens, fractures, becomes apparent after an awakening. The labels, the accumulations, the stories, the reference points, they become weaker. And what actually happens is the mind glimpses absence before embodiment, before stability. This is why some people, myself included, experience panic or terror after awakening. And it's not because they've seen too much. It's because the mind briefly loses its anchor. So I'm going to tell you some truths. Non-existence is not an experience. There does not exist an experience of no experience. And fear only exists when there's someone there to fear it. When there is an identity there to fear it. And the truth is, the real truth is, what's real is this moment. This moment being here, now. What do we know? What do we see? We know that we are here. We know we are aware. And we see existence. And we see experience. Anything else outside of this moment, or that's perceived outside of this moment, is a story. It's imagination. Understanding what the mind is, understanding the mind's function, understanding the identity created by the mind, taking a step back and seeing that will show you what fear is. It will help you understand the identity. And the truth is, the fear of non-existence only exists while you're alive, which already tells you something important. You don't need answers about death. You need safety here while you're alive.